Judas and the Black Messiah. Yes, my room is a mess. We made note of it. Let's move on. This is a movie about a man named William O'Neill, played by Lakeith Stanfield, who's a petty criminal hired by the FBI to infiltrate the Black Panther Party, who at this time in the world was led by Fred Hampton, who in this film was played by Daniel Kaluuya. A reunion. These two actors were in Get Out together, which is ironic because that's a movie I saw for the first time about a week ago. This is a 2021 movie technically, but because the Oscars extended the deadline for what qualifies for the Academy Awards this year, thanks to the pandemic, this will get nominated for this year's Academy Awards when those nominations do drop, and it will get nominated for some awards. I know that's confusing, but I did need to throw it out there. A lot of people really loving this movie, and this is the toughest film I've had to review since I rebooted this channel back in April, because greatness is easy to talk about. A Promising Young Woman was my favorite movie of 2020, and my love for that movie just flowed off my tongue. And a movie like Music, which several days later I still think is probably going to end up being my least favorite movie of the decade, that was easy to talk about. I could have spent 3 hours ripping that thing to shreds. But sometimes you have a movie that is good. This movie is good, and yet you don't fall in love with it the way that other people have. This is a frustrating film for me. I do like it. I do think it is good. But I'd be lying if I told you that I enjoyed the viewing experience, because I didn't. There are some really great things about this movie, and it starts with the performances. Daniel Kaluuya especially. I mean, by the end, when they show what the real Fred Hampton was like, I mean, he nails it. And 2020, and now I guess technically 2021, has done such a great job of showcasing just how many talented, up-and-coming Black actors and actresses there really are. Lakeith Stanfield's really good in this. That guy's a really talented performer. I mean, he's a major up-and-comer. He's made some really good career choices. One actor I wanted to point out as well, Jesse Plemons, who has been in a ton of stuff, and talk about a guy who's not a conventional movie star and yet has appeared in a lot of really good movies. He's been smart and selective with the films and TV shows he's decided to be in, and he's really good in this. And a bit of a sidebar here, random tangent. If they were ever to make a Siskel and Ebert movie, he'd be great as Roger Ebert. Like, he's the only one that comes to mind now that Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away. The third act of this movie almost makes up for the first 2/3. I mean, the final 25-30 minutes are really tense and really poignant and really powerful, and I wish the rest of the movie would have been as focused as the final 30 minutes of this film were. It's a good movie. Like, on a technical level, there's nothing about it that's bad. Costume, set design, art direction, no regular direction, it's all there. It's all good. But on a personal taste level, I didn't particularly enjoy my experience, and I'll tell you why. For one, and this is a legitimate complaint, I think the movie is a bit scatterbrained. Like, I think that it's, like I said, a bit unfocused for the first 2/3, because it's trying to tell two different stories. It's trying to tell the story of William O'Neill's conflict as he, kind of gets to be a part of the Black Panther movement, and it's trying to tell Fred Hampton's story. And in its attempt to try to tell two different stories, it kind of fails to tell either one. I think the film would have been better off making Daniel Kaluuya's character more of a side character and focusing in on Lakeith Stanfield's conflict as he went from just kind of this random petty criminal, like I said, to a guy that was actually genuinely a part of the Black Panther movement. And in the last 25-30 minutes, it becomes more focused, and you get to see that conflict, and it becomes a much better film. This is one of many movies that have come out over the last year or so that have been about the plight of the African American, especially in the civil rights era, and those are important films. They're films that I think need to be seen and need to be made. But you are not a bad person to admit that they are very difficult viewing experiences. They are very, very heavy, disturbing subject matter. And look, I think that is the goal of the director here. I think they wanted you to be uncomfortable watching this. I think they kind of wanted you to feel like shit watching this movie. And if that's the case, then you know what? You achieved your goal. But that doesn't mean that I have to praise the film, and it doesn't mean that I have to say that I enjoyed the experience, because I didn't. And this is where, sometimes you just see a movie that you just don't gel with. And I know there's going to be people who watch this and say, that's not a criticism. It sure as hell is. Film is an emotionally driven art form. How you feel about something is completely subjective. Now, if you think that there's good acting or good direction in a movie, you can argue that, but like that is something that I think does exist. Like, I think there are elements to film that are objective, but how you feel about something, what something does to you emotionally, that's completely subjective, and I didn't gel with this movie. Now, one of my favorite movies of 2019 was Marriage Story. That movie made me cry like 3 times. The final scene in that movie of Adam Driver reading the letter that's an emotionally powerful powerful scene, but I know several people who watched it and said, oh, it's just two people fighting. What's the big deal? With this, while I completely understand why people are praising this, I completely understand why people are viewing it as one of the better movies of the year. I understand why it's going to get nominated for Oscars. It might even win Best Picture. But was it an experience I enjoyed? Is this a film I would watch again? No, it's not. I do recommend it. I do feel like people should watch this. Just because I may not have enjoyed an experience, that's a little bit unfair, because I think that my job here, I mean, I'm not getting paid, but my goal here needs to be whether or not I'm recommending a movie. And just because I may not enjoy something doesn't mean that I should dump on the whole thing. It is a well-made film. It's a poignant film. It's a powerful film, just not one that I personally connected with. I give this a 6 out of 10. I think that this is a good film that a lot of people are going to call a great film, and I can't knock those people. There is such thing as personal taste. There just is. So that'll do it for this review. You can follow me on Twitter at Castellani2014. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. What did you think of this movie? You want to call me a jackass because I have an opinion that you don't agree with? Have at it. Go ahead. But that's it for this review. I will be back. I'll probably have another review up this weekend. Churning out reviews like butter, baby. I'll see you later. Peace and happiness.